If you eat breakfast within the first 60 minutes after waking up, there's a high chance you're unknowingly triggering fat storage, regardless of your diet. That's not a guess. It's a conclusion backed by research from reputable institutions like Harvard Medical School and the American Journal of Physiology, and it's something most modern weight loss programs completely overlook. The reality is this: insulin, the hormone that plays a key role in fat storage, naturally spikes in the morning, even if you haven't eaten anything yet. This is due to a phenomenon known as the dawn effect, which has been clearly observed in clinical studies involving adults over 60. Between 4:00 and 8:00 a.m., your cortisol levels, the body's stress hormone, start to rise as your system prepares to wake up. This cortisol surge signals your liver to release glucose into the bloodstream, and because blood sugar goes up, insulin follows, even though you haven't had a bite to eat. What happens next? When you eat breakfast right after waking up, even a so-called healthy one like fruit, whole grain cereal, or a glass of orange juice, you're stacking insulin on top of an already elevated baseline. That pushes your body further into fat storage mode, not fat burning. Sound familiar? You eat early to feel energized, but still crash mid-morning. You try to eat clean and cut calories, but your belly keeps growing. You rely on coffee every morning to stay awake, but end up craving more sugar as the day goes on. This isn't because you're weak or your metabolism is broken. It's the result of disrupting your hormones at the wrong time of day, and insulin is at the center of it all. In this video, we're not going to tell you to skip meals or start hardcore workouts. Instead, we'll break down why the first few hours of the day are a danger zone. For anyone trying to lose weight, how even healthy breakfasts can work against your fat loss goals, whether your morning coffee habit might be doubling your insulin response, and most importantly, how to turn this around. Without extreme diets or fasting marathons, if you've ever wondered why you eat less, but still can't seem to lose weight. If it feels like belly fat just gets harder to shed with every passing year. If you've chalked it all up to just getting older, then stick around, because the problem isn't your age. It's your timing. And the solution isn't doing more, it's doing it at the right time. Picture your body like a finely tuned biological clock. Every morning, a series of hormonal shift changes quietly take place, preparing you for a brand new day. But here's something most people don't realize. The hours right after waking up, especially after age 60, are the most fat-storing hours of the day. Why? Because during that window, three key hormones begin to interact in a tightly choreographed rhythm: cortisol, insulin, and leptin. If you understand how these three work together and how to support their natural balance, you can dramatically shift your body's ability to burn fat without cutting calories. Cortisol. The silent morning starter cortisol often gets labeled as the stress hormone, but in reality it plays a vital biological role in the early morning. Between 3 and 5 a.m., while you're still sleeping, cortisol begins to rise, a normal process called the dawn phenomenon. Why does this happen? Because cortisol helps your body wake up after a long night's rest. It triggers your liver to release glucose from glycogen stores, giving your brain and muscles the fuel they need as soon as you open your eyes. That means even if you haven't eaten, your blood sugar is already going up. And that's when the next hormone enters the picture: insulin. Insulin, the fat-storing switch that's already flipped insulin, is secreted by your pancreas and helps shuttle sugar from your blood into your cells, either for energy or storage. But when cortisol increases blood sugar early in the morning, insulin is forced to rise too, just to keep things in balance. Here's the key point: your insulin is already elevated before you eat anything. Now think about this. If you eat breakfast right after waking up, especially a carb-heavy meal like oatmeal, toast, sweet fruit, or orange juice, you're piling more glucose on top of an already spiking insulin level. This sends your body straight into fat storage mode. And it's even worse if you already have insulin resistance, which is extremely common after 60. According to the American Diabetes Association, around 50 to 70% of older adults show early signs of insulin resistance, meaning even a small amount of carbohydrates can trigger an excessive insulin response and make fat loss harder. Leptin, the fullness hormone that cortisol silences. Leptin is the hormone that tells your brain, "I'm full, stop eating." It's produced by your fat cells and plays a big role in appetite control. But here's the problem. Morning cortisol blunts your brain's sensitivity to leptin. So even if you eat a full breakfast, you might still feel hungry or get hungry again quickly. Research from Harvard Health Publishing shows that when cortisol stays elevated due to poor sleep, stress, or circadian rhythm disruption, leptin resistance sets in. Your brain stops listening to leptin and you keep reaching for more food, especially sugary or starchy snacks. The result is a dangerous loop. Insulin spikes. Fat gets stored. Leptin stops working. You feel hungry again. And insulin spikes again. After 60, everything slows down, and fat storage speeds up. These hormone shifts happen in everyone. But after age 60, your ability to process glucose slows down, your cells become less sensitive to insulin, and your circadian rhythm gets more fragile due to poor sleep, which means cortisol spikes more easily from even minor stress or sleep loss. Insulin stays elevated longer. Leptin has less impact on your appetite, and you may notice the signs. You wake up tired and force yourself to eat even if you're not hungry. You don't feel clear-headed. Until after 2 cups of coffee, you get hungry again just 2 hours after breakfast. Your belly fat increases even if you're careful with food. Are you burning energy, or are your hormones quietly shutting off fat burning? If you see yourself in any of these scenarios, it's not because you're lazy or broken. You're just living out of sync with your natural hormonal rhythm. You don't need to eat less, you need to eat at the right time. You don't need to exercise harder. You need to optimize your hormones first thing in the morning. You don't have to skip breakfast entirely. You just need to wait 60 to 90 minutes until your insulin levels settle. Why? Because right after waking up, your body already has a supply of glucose in the blood. You don't need to eat right away. If you give your body a chance to use that stored energy first, by walking, getting sunlight, or drinking water, you allow insulin to drop naturally and signal your system to start burning fat instead of storing it. Now you know insulin spikes in the morning aren't caused by eating, but by cortisol. Eating too soon adds fuel to the insulin fire and blocks fat loss. Feeling hungry, even after breakfast, is often due to leptin resistance. So what comes next? You need to recognize and avoid the 3 most common morning mistakes, which will break down in the next part of this journey. Because only when you stop doing the things that feel harmless can you finally start to lose weight in a way that's natural, sustainable, and kind to your body. Here's a harsh truth. Just a few wrong habits in the first 2 hours of your day can shut down your body's fat-burning engine for the rest of the day. And this has nothing to do with how many calories you eat. It's all about how you trigger insulin, the hormone that signals your body to store fat. The problem? Most of these habits are things we've been told are healthy all our lives. Let's take a closer look at the 3 most common mistakes. Are you making any of these? 1. Eating breakfast immediately after waking up. Were you taught that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and that you should eat it as early as possible? That advice might make sense for young athletes or laborers. But if you're over 60, eating right after waking up can be the fastest way to stall weight loss. Why? Your insulin is already naturally elevated due to the dawn phenomenon. Eating, especially carbs like toast, oatmeal, or cereal, causes insulin to spike even higher. The result? Your body switches into fat-storing mode instead of fat-burning. One study from the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that people who ate breakfast within 30 minutes of waking had 35% higher insulin levels than those who waited 90 minutes, even though both groups ate the same number of calories. And the group that waited lost more belly fat. It's not about skipping breakfast, it's about timing. Your body wakes up with stored energy, glucose, and fat from the night before. Letting it use that fuel before adding more food gives your metabolism a major edge. Just waiting 60-90 minutes and moving a bit can make a big difference. 2. Drinking coffee on an empty stomach. Coffee is a morning ritual for millions, but few people realize that drinking coffee on an empty stomach, especially right after waking, can throw your hormones out of balance. Caffeine signals your adrenal glands to release more cortisol. Cortisol pushes glucose into your bloodstream. And guess what? Insulin rushes in again to deal with it. This is especially risky if you're also eating a muffin, toast, or any sugary carb with your coffee. A study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that when caffeine and carbs are consumed together, the body requires up to 50% more insulin to handle the same amount of sugar. That morning coffee and pastry combo, it's a fat storage bomb. So how do you keep your coffee without the crash? Delay it at least 1 hour after waking, after cortisol starts to settle. Or drink black coffee with a small amount of healthy fat, like coconut oil or ghee, to reduce the insulin impact. We'll dive deeper into this coffee delay window in part 6. 3. Eating a healthy breakfast that's basically dessert. Think oatmeal, low-fat yogurt, or a bowl of sweet fruit make a healthy breakfast. Let's look at their glycemic index, GI, a measure of how quickly they raise your blood sugar, and you might be shocked. Examples: a glass of orange juice has a GI as high or higher than Coca-Cola. Whole grain, boxed cereals often contain 30–40% hidden sugars. Low-fat yogurt removes the natural fats that help keep you full and replaces them with added sugars for flavor. These so-called healthy choices can send your blood sugar soaring. Insulin comes rushing in, shuts down fat burning, and stores all that excess energy right in your belly. According to Harvard Health Publishing, people who eat high-carb breakfasts experience a quick energy dip mid-morning and are more likely to crave sweets throughout the day. You're not eating the wrong foods. You're eating at the wrong time. Do you notice the pattern? All 3 mistakes are about timing, not quantity. You're eating too early, drinking coffee too soon, choosing foods that seem good but spike insulin before your day even begins. The good news: you don't need to skip meals or starve yourself. Simply reverse these 3 habits and you'll naturally shift back into fat-burning mode. Your belly will feel lighter. Your energy will become more stable, and you'll finally stop the cycle of doing everything right but seeing no results. We've all heard that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. But here in the U.S., there's a hidden truth no one wants to talk about. Most of today's popular breakfasts are basically morning desserts, disguised with labels like healthy, low-fat, or high in fiber. Think about it. A bowl of whole grain cereal, a glass of skim milk, a few slices of banana or grapes, maybe a drizzle of honey or agave syrup. Sounds like a health-conscious start to the day, right? But what it really is a blood sugar bomb. A fast-absorbing mix of carbs, barely any protein, and almost no fat, delivered straight into your system after an overnight fast. It's called breakfast, but to your body, it's just a big dose of sugar. And if you're over 60, your body simply can't handle sugar the way it used to. You've lost some muscle, your liver is slower, and your insulin sensitivity has likely declined with age. So while a younger person may burn through that energy quickly, your body is more likely to store it as belly fat. Take orange juice, for example. Lots of folks drink it in the morning thinking it'll detox the body or deliver a hit of vitamin C. But even 100% natural juice contains over 20 grams of fructose, no fiber to slow it down, and 0 fat or protein to buffer the absorption. At this time of day, when your cortisol is already naturally high, insulin is triggered within minutes. Before your day even begins, your metabolism has already been pushed into fat storage mode. And then there's cereal. Even the boxes that scream whole grain, non-GMO, or fortified with vitamins usually contain 20–40% sugar, hidden under names like cane syrup, malt extract, or brown rice syrup. Add some skim milk, which lacks the fats that slow sugar spikes, and within 30 minutes your blood sugar skyrockets. Not exactly a recipe for fat burning. What about low-fat yogurt? Many choose it thinking low-fat means low-calorie, and that helps with weight loss. But the natural fats in full-fat yogurt are actually what keep you satisfied and your insulin in check. When that fat is removed, the flavor goes with it, so manufacturers add sugar or artificial thickeners to make up for it. That little fruit-flavored yogurt cup, it's basically a dessert dressed up as health food. Even fruit, which is full of vitamins and antioxidants, can cause problems when eaten alone, especially first thing in the morning when insulin levels are primed to spike. Grapes, watermelon, bananas, mangoes, these all have high glycemic indexes. On an empty stomach, they cause glucose to surge quickly into your blood. Your body reacts instinctively. Insulin floods in and stores that sugar away in fat cells for later. Then just 1 hour later, you're hungry again, not because you didn't eat enough, but because your breakfast didn't contain anything to keep you full. No protein, no healthy fat, just a fast sugar hit that left your body crashing and craving more. That's why so many people reach for a snack by 10 a.m. A cookie, dried fruit, or another sweet coffee. This is the silent cycle that keeps so many people over 60 stuck in a state of constant belly fat gain, even when they are not eating much. Dessert-style breakfasts don't just stall fat burning, they hijack your entire hormone rhythm for the day. Cortisol stays elevated. Insulin remains high. Leptin, the I'm full hormone, can't keep up. Ghrelin, the I'm hungry hormone, kicks in hard, and you're left wondering why you can't stop thinking about food. Let's be honest. The typical American breakfast today is no longer breakfast. It's a lighter version of dessert, not made with ice cream or chocolate, but loaded with refined carbs and simple sugars, and missing the core elements of a balanced meal. It may come in a bright, clean package or be served in a fancy glass, but to your metabolism, it's one of the strongest fat storage signals it gets all day. Now, this doesn't mean everyone needs to give up breakfast entirely. But if you're trying to manage your weight, reduce belly fat, and improve your metabolic health after 60, this is where it starts, rethinking your breakfast. Not to skip it, not to starve yourself, but to stop starting your day with dessert. You wake up after a long night's sleep, still groggy, and like clockwork, you head straight to the kitchen. Brew a cup of coffee, toast a slice of bread, maybe pour a glass of orange juice. It's comforting. It feels like you're starting the day the right way. But what if that familiar routine is actually blocking your body's natural fat-burning window? Here's what most people don't realize. After 7-8 hours of sleep, your body is in a natural fasted state. Insulin is low, and your ability to burn fat is higher than at any other time of day. But while you're still asleep, your body begins to ramp up production of cortisol, your wake-up hormone. Cortisol signals the liver to release stored glucose, which slightly raises blood sugar. In response, insulin also starts to rise. So by the time you open your eyes, your insulin isn't at its lowest. It's actually in a mild, elevated state. And if you eat breakfast right away, especially one high in carbs or sugar, insulin spikes even further, and your body flips into fat storage mode. But here's the game changer. If you simply wait 60 to 90 minutes before eating, your insulin levels have a chance to drop naturally. This opens the door for your body to switch into fat-burning mode, what's known as fat oxidation. And for adults over 60, when muscle mass has declined and metabolism slows, this window becomes a powerful opportunity you don't want to miss. So what should you do during those 90 minutes? You don't need to hit the gym or do an intense workout. Just move your body gently. Take a stroll around the house. Water your plants. Sit outside and get a little morning sun. Write a to-do list. Call a friend. These simple activities help your cortisol settle down and signal your metabolism to start working with you. Instead of coffee, start with a glass of warm water. Add a pinch of sea salt or a few slices of lemon. This rehydrates your system, balances electrolytes, and gives your liver and kidneys a gentle nudge to start cleansing. Many people are surprised by how awake they feel after 10 minutes of doing this, without relying on caffeine to turn on their brain. And here's the real magic. When you train your body to burn fat for the first 90 minutes of your day, you're not just changing that day. Over time, your hormones adapt. Baseline insulin goes down. Mid-morning hunger fades. Your appetite becomes easier to manage. You don't have to fight cravings because your body is finally aligned with its natural rhythm. In fact, many older adults say they're not even hungry in the morning, but they force themselves to eat out of fear of losing energy. But that lack of hunger is actually a positive sign. It means your body is running on stored fat, exactly what you want when trying to lose weight. When you honor that feeling and eat only when real hunger shows up, your meals become more satisfying and your energy more stable. Of course, this doesn't mean you need to skip breakfast or fast until noon. You're not doing 16/8 intermittent fasting unless that works for you. For most people over 60, eating breakfast 90 minutes after waking is a perfect balance. It supports metabolism, protects adrenal health, and avoids energy crashes while still letting you tap into your fat reserves. So what should that 90-minute later breakfast look like? First rule, ditch the refined carbs. Skip the toast, the juice, the instant oats. Start with quality protein, eggs, salmon, tofu, or full-fat dairy if you tolerate it. Add healthy fats like avocado, olive oil, or ground flaxseed. If you can, toss in some leafy greens or non-starchy vegetables. This kind of meal doesn't just keep you full, it keeps insulin steady, cuts snack cravings, and actually improves insulin sensitivity over time. Changing your routine might feel strange at first. You might feel a little sluggish. That's okay. Start small. Delay breakfast by just 15 minutes each day. Drink water, go for a light walk. Do anything that doesn't revolve around food. Within a week, your body will adjust. And in that simple slowing down, you'll discover a new rhythm, one that gently melts away fat without hunger, without stress, and without ever going on a diet. For many Americans, nothing feels more right in the morning than that first cup of coffee. It's more than a drink, it's a ritual, a comfort, a mental cue that says the day has begun. But here's something few people realize: coffee isn't just caffeine. It's a powerful metabolic signal, and when consumed at the wrong time, especially on an empty stomach early in the morning, it can quietly spike your insulin and sabotage your weight loss efforts. When you first wake up, your cortisol, your main stress hormone, is already at its biological peak. In fact, it's cortisol that helps wake you up by raising your heart rate and telling your liver to release stored glucose into the blood for quick energy. Now enter caffeine. It stimulates your adrenal glands to release even more cortisol, which means when you drink coffee right away, you're stacking stress on top of stress, and your liver responds by pushing even more sugar into your bloodstream. Guess what happens next? Insulin jumps in to clean up that sugar, and just like that, your body slips back into fat storage mode before you've even had breakfast. This is especially problematic after age 60, when insulin sensitivity tends to decline and hormonal responses are slower to reset. The result? You feel hungry sooner, you store more belly fat, and despite eating light, the scale refuses to budge. Research from the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition confirms this. When caffeine is consumed alongside carbohydrates, think toast, fruit, or even just a splash of milk, the body needs up to 50% more insulin to handle the same amount of glucose. In other words, that morning coffee and muffin combo, it's an insulin double whammy, and it works directly against your goal to burn fat. But here's the good news: you don't have to give up coffee. In fact, when used wisely, it can even help metabolism. The trick is timing and what you pair it with. The ideal time to drink coffee is after your cortisol naturally drops, which usually happens about 60 to 90 minutes after waking. By then, your body has fully transitioned from sleep to active mode. Insulin levels begin to stabilize, and your system can handle caffeine without triggering an overreaction. Also, never pair coffee with fast carbs like pastries, sweetened cereal, fruit juice, or milk with sugar. If you do need coffee early, drink it black without sugar or cream. Some people find it helpful to add a teaspoon of healthy fat, like MCT oil, unsalted butter, or cold-pressed coconut oil. Fat slows caffeine absorption, supports mental focus, and keeps insulin calm. Another smart option: drink coffee after a balanced breakfast rich in protein and healthy fats, like eggs, salmon, avocado, or walnuts. When your insulin is already steady from a solid meal, caffeine is less likely to cause a spike. This lets you enjoy your coffee ritual without disrupting your morning hormone rhythm. Now, for long-time coffee drinkers, waiting an hour or two might feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you've relied on caffeine for years. But you don't have to go cold turkey. Just swap the habit with something gentle: warm water, a pinch of sea salt, or unsweetened herbal tea. Within a few days, your body will adapt. And the payoff? Better insulin control, more stable energy throughout the morning, and no more crashing mid-morning or craving a second cup just to stay awake. Coffee in itself isn't the problem, but when it's consumed at the wrong time or paired with the wrong foods, it becomes a hidden trigger that quietly disrupts your weight loss efforts, especially after 60. And once you've already adjusted your breakfast timing and chosen smarter meals, the next piece of the puzzle might just be that familiar cup of coffee. Sometimes it's not about doing less, it's about doing things later. And in that small delay, you just might find a calmer metabolism, a lighter waistline, and a smoother start to your day. Most of us start our mornings on autopilot. Eyes barely open, we reach for the phone, scroll through headlines and appointments, then roll out of bed with a mental to-do list already forming. In that rush, we're pulling our bodies out of the recovery mode of sleep and throwing them headfirst into stress, routine, and reaction. But after age 60, our bodies don't respond to pressure the way they used to. Hormones shift, muscle mass declines, metabolism slows, and what once worked now drains more than it delivers. That's why your mornings need to evolve into something gentler, wiser, and more aligned with your inner biology. Reinventing your morning doesn't require a life overhaul. It begins with understanding and optimizing just three things: hormones, fuel, and rhythm. These elements constantly interact, shaping whether your body will start the day burning fat or quietly storing it. Let's begin with hormones. Between 4 and 6 a.m., even before you wake up, your cortisol begins to rise. This is your body's natural wake-up call, signaling your liver to release stored glucose into your bloodstream to help you transition into the day. When your eyes open, cortisol is already at its peak, and insulin is not far behind, rising just enough to balance that glucose surge. This is why eating right after waking, especially sugar or starchy foods, throws fuel on the hormonal fire. Your insulin, already elevated from cortisol, gets pushed even higher. The result? Your body shifts into storage mode, not fat burning. But if you wait a little, move gently, step into sunlight, breathe deeply, you give your hormones space to reset before asking your body to digest anything. Then comes fuel. After 8 hours of sleep, you're in a naturally fasted state. Your liver has just finished releasing its final reserves of glucose. If you delay eating a little longer, your body begins tapping into stored fat for energy. This is the fat-burning window that so many people miss, simply because of the habit of starting the day with sugary breakfast items. When it's time to eat, what you eat matters even more. A breakfast after 60 shouldn't begin with oatmeal, banana slices, or toast. It should begin with protein, to preserve muscle mass, promote satiety, and stabilize insulin. 2 eggs, half an avocado, a few slices of grilled salmon or chicken, and some leafy greens. It's easy to digest, nourishing, and metabolically smart. Healthy fats should be on your plate too, not the processed kind, but from extra virgin olive oil, walnuts, avocado, or a bit of coconut. These fats help slow down glucose absorption, prolong satiety, and support hormone production, particularly sex hormones that tend to decline after 60. What about carbs? Don't eliminate them, but choose wisely. Opt for complex, fiber-rich, low-glycemic options like steamed veggies, slow-cooked oats, or a small portion of quinoa. These should be the smallest part of your breakfast. Why? Because as we age, our insulin response to sugar becomes more exaggerated. Keeping carbs in check during the first meal is key to managing belly fat and maintaining steady energy. Now let's talk about rhythm, your body's silent conductor. Nothing in your physiology happens randomly. From hunger cues to hormone release, everything runs on an internal clock called the circadian rhythm. And when that rhythm is aligned, your entire system performs better. A simple way to reset that rhythm is exposing your eyes to morning sunlight, even for just 5–10 minutes. This tells your brain's master clock that the day has started. It also recalibrates melatonin production for that night, setting the stage for deeper, more restorative sleep. And as research shows, better sleep improves insulin sensitivity, reduces cravings, and supports fat loss more effectively than most supplements. Another way to respect your rhythm: stick to consistent meal times. When your body knows when food is coming, your digestive hormones, insulin, GLP-1, leptin, sync up more effectively. You experience fewer cravings, steadier energy, and natural satiety without trying to willpower your way through hunger. And finally, give yourself 15 minutes in the morning for something personally meaningful. Journaling, gentle reading, quiet meditation, or just sitting in silence by the window. This isn't just about calm, it's about helping your cortisol lower naturally. And as you've learned by now, less cortisol means lower insulin and another win for your metabolism. You don't have to change everything at once. But when you understand how your body works and choose the right interventions at the right time, you stop feeling forced. Things begin to flow. Your weight responds. Your mind feels clearer. You feel more in control. And for the first time in years, you're not starting your day in a rush, but with awareness. A healthy morning doesn't require the perfect breakfast, a 30-minute workout, or a minute-by-minute plan. It just needs one simple formula: stabilized hormones, smart fuel, and living in sync with your rhythm. From there, everything else starts falling into place. If you've stayed with me through this entire journey, I want to pause for a moment and truly thank you. Not everyone has the patience to listen to their body, and not everyone is willing to question the habits that seem harmless, yet may have quietly shaped their health for years. We've covered a lot together in this video. No talk of medications. No extreme diets, no punishing workouts, just one thing: the morning. That simple window of time, so often overlooked, turns out to be where many of our struggles with belly fat, weight control, and long-term health actually begin, especially after 60. Do you remember what causes the biggest insulin spike in the morning? It's not just about eating too much. It's about eating too soon, drinking coffee at the wrong time, and starting the day when your hormones are still unstable. Your body never even gets the chance to burn fat, because you unknowingly push it right back into storage mode within the first hour of waking up. But once you understand how cortisol, insulin, and leptin work, once you learn how to realign your morning rhythm with your biology, you'll see that weight loss isn't as hard as it used to feel. You don't need to starve all day. You just need to wait a little longer before eating. You don't have to give up coffee. Just drink it later. You don't need strict rules. Just adjust what's on your plate. The good news is you can start this tomorrow. Can you recall that feeling when you weren't battling hunger mid-morning, when you ate less but felt full longer, when the weight began to drop slowly, gently, without pressure? That wasn't magic. That was smart, well-timed action rooted in understanding your own body instead of fighting it. So, are you ready to begin tomorrow differently? Instead of jumping out of bed and eating right away, try easing into your day with a short walk, a glass of warm water, or a few minutes of morning light. Instead of coffee on an empty stomach, try waiting until after breakfast and see how your body responds. Instead of a sugary, fast breakfast, try something simple: eggs, avocado, and veggies. You don't have to change the world. Just change a few things. And if after a week you notice your mind feels clearer, your stomach feels lighter, your cravings are fewer, and your sleep is deeper, that's your body saying, "Thank you." If you don't notice much after 2 weeks, don't give up. Talk with your doctor. Often, just syncing your eating schedule with the right adjustments to medication or metabolism makes a bigger difference than you'd expect. Remember, knowledge is power, but only action leads to transformation. I'm grateful you've taken this time to listen. Good health after 60 isn't about luck. It's about choices, consistent, patient, informed choices. And if you've made it to the end of this video, it means you're ready to make those choices. I hope what I've shared today isn't just information, it's inspiration. A gentle reminder that no matter your age, your body still has the ability to heal. You're not too late. You're not powerless. You just need to begin with a different kind of morning. So tell me, what part of this message resonated with you most? Are you still eating breakfast too early? Still drinking coffee on an empty stomach? I'd love to hear your thoughts and stories in the comments below. And if today's content was helpful, don't forget to hit subscribe to support Vigor Without Age. When you do, you're not just gaining new insights. You're giving us the motivation to keep creating meaningful content for everyone on the journey to health at 50, 60, 70, and beyond. To you, my friend who's choosing to care for your health, I wish you strength, peace, happiness, and all the best on this path. And if you feel ready, then tomorrow begin your morning again. But this time, not with rush, but with awareness, self-respect, and wise choices.